Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Captain Whitaker. I'm gonna ask you just to stretch out and relax. Have you on the ground in 40 minutes. All right, turn us north, take us home. Power back! Power back!
I have no control on my side.
Are we going down?
This is Southjet 227. We are in a dive. Southjet 227.
I see nothing but houses!
Evan, listen to me. Trim us nose down. We're gonna roll it.
What do you mean rolling?
Ready? Here we go.
How you feeling, man? You saved a lot of lives.
You okay?
This is Edward Douglas from ComingSoon.net. I'm here with my first video, Oscar-worthy video for 2012 with actress Kelly Reilly, who you probably have seen in a bunch of movies over the years. I think most famously for Sherlock Holmes and the sequel. She played Dr. Watson's fiance and then wife. And I'm actually talking to her about a movie called Flight, which is Bob Zemeckis' new movie, and it stars Denzel Washington, but she plays the other side of the really kind of interesting relationship with his character. She plays someone named Nicole, who's like a junkie, and they kind of find each other and help each other. And it's a great role, and I think I'm going to pay the biggest compliment as an actor. I watched this whole movie going, who is that actress? Who is that actress? And I've seen like most of your other movies, so the fact that I didn't know it was you until the credits roll is pretty amazing, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I like to keep it mysterious. I mean, it's my first movie in America, so you know, it's not like you've seen me in too many films like here. I mean,
well, yeah.
You know, I think it's kind of a different psychology. Like I'm always seen coming out of films in England and Europe.
Yeah.
So to be seen out of a movie in America, it kind of, I think it might. That's why it sort of takes you a moment. But I mean, I'm relatively, you know, an unknown actor here, so this is my first gig. So.
Okay. Well, it might be the accent. That'd be just changing the accent would be enough to just go like because I literally spent the entire movie. At the very end, it was like I've seen all her other movies, and I was really kind of surprised.
Wow.
Yeah. How did you first hear about it? Did you was the script kind of floating around? I know.
Yeah, I got sent the script and I loved it, and you know, I threw out my audition for it, like I do a lot. Like all actors do. They have to send their tapes, and I heard back from the casting director that Bob had really liked what I'd done, and could I send him more? So I sent him more, and then he asked me to go and meet him in Los Angeles and read with Denzel. And so the next couple of days I was on a plane and I did like a screen test with Denzel at the Chateau Marmont. And then I think I heard about a week later that I had the role.
Now, were Bob and Denzel both kind of already attached to it? It was already known that they were going to be doing it, and they were just looking for someone to play Nicole? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah. They were going, and you know, I think they were shooting in like 5 weeks' time, and they were just, I think John Goodman was attached and Don, and they were just looking for this role.
What was it about the role that kind of like jumped out at you? That something like I can do this.
I loved the writing. I loved that it was slightly almost underwritten. I'm not a fan of everything being spelled out and explained to me, and I liked that she was almost slightly a ghost, and then just some of the things that Gayton's put in for this character, this sort of, you know, she's obviously a smart woman. She was obviously had life in her and a healthy life in her before. How did she go wrong? Like, what happened to her? How could somebody like this suddenly be in such a squalid place, surrounded by such awful people, needing this drug? I mean, how does that happen to a human being, to a young woman who has life in front of her? And I just, I was sort of intrigued by that, and more than I was intrigued about addiction. You know, that was almost for me like a symptom of something bigger. And sort of obviously, you know, she talks a little bit about the loss of her mother and how she was unable to deal with that, and that just sort of led her down a pretty dangerous road. And I imagine, you know, from a bit of bad luck and bad decisions and maybe meeting the wrong people, it can sort of happen so easily, really.
Did you have to do any research before you even could get into the role? I mean, get into the part to do an audition tape, or how much preparation did you have to do to actually do that tape and send it out? And
no, I just daydreamed around it, really. I just had it in my head for a week. I would just the writing was so beautiful, and also the accent that I wanted to use for this character, because I knew it was being set in Atlanta, so I just kind of found this southern accent, and I just was like, that sort of, I felt like it really lent itself well to the character. You know, that she's sort of, it's almost kind of very louche, it's sort of partaking in life but not really, you know, and it really suited what Gatins was writing, and it just felt good, it just felt very real in me, and I just let myself just think about it a lot, and then I put myself on tape a week later. It wasn't about preparation. When I got the role, I then went and really wanted to find out as much as I could about Heron, because I had no idea. I just had stereotypes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the accent itself is amazing, because you hear all these stories of actors, you know, they work with dialect coaches, they spend hours and hours listening to iPods of people talking in the accent they need to replicate. Had you been doing a lot of that just in your training and kind of knew how to...
I love working with accents. I never get to do it on film. I used to do it on stage a lot. I always get to play British, so when I got the chance to do this, I was like, I've always loved the southern dialects in America. I just think they're so melodic and sensual and feminine. You know, I immediately like characters when they're southern, but that's just because I'm British.
Yeah.
And it's an exotic sound to me. But I did work with a dialect coach for a little bit when I got down to Atlanta, but I'd already kind of found it. I don't know whether I just picked it up from watching a lot of movies or just I had it. And then I really worked with my assistant wardrobe girl who was from Alabama, and it was her voice that I went, all right, that's
okay.
That's, you know, before a take I would be like, just say this word, just say this to me a few times.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, because it's tough when the southern accent is almost as tough as an American trying to do a British accent, because it's always like you can go too far, and it's like you have to really kind of...
Yeah, that was my fear. I did not want to suddenly be like, you know, howdy, and like it would be awful. And also there's so many, you know, you want to get it right, because this isn't a movie that, you know, Southerners are going to watch, and you want to honor that. And so there's so many different dialects as well, as I realized when I was down there, from Georgia, Atlanta to Memphis to different parts of Texas, West Texas, East Texas. Like, there's so many different ones, and you know, I know how hot I am to hear a bad English accent, so I'm sure Americans are the same. So that was one of my biggest fears about the film.
What about facing Bob Zemeckis and Denzel the first time? I mean, it's funny because you were in Mrs. Henderson Presents, which was with Stephen Frears and Dame Judy and Bob Hoskins, which is kind of like, you must get all your fears out of the way doing that. But still, when you have to go to a room with Bob and Denzel and... Yeah,
Bob I immediately felt a warmth to, you know, because he wanted me for the role before I even met him. So I immediately felt like I had someone on team champion me for this role. And I also just love his movies, like, you know, Forrest Gump is probably up there as, you know, one of my favorite movies to put on when I'm just, you know, just at home, and if it's on, I just always watch it. And like, to meet Denzel, that was a different experience, because he's such a, you know, such a powerful actor, he's such a powerful man, and to go into a room and he knows nothing about me, to kind of go and do my job, and to have him sort of go, yeah, that's who I want, or no, Bob, what are you thinking? I knew I had to kind of up my game somewhat, but it was thrilling to work with him. It's like getting to play a sport with someone who's really good. You know, you learn so much, and you get to be better at what you do because you're getting past the ball in a really good way. And that's how I felt with working with him on that. Even that first screen test, I walked out thinking that was thrilling. I felt so excited. I had such an adrenaline rush.
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of like the same when you do interviews. When you interview someone who's like that, kind of like, oh wow, I'm a great interviewer.
Yeah.
No, probably no. They're probably just really good at doing interviews and talking and eloquent.
Well, no, I think it's a bit of both. You feed off one another,
right?
You know,
exactly,
and I think that's the essence of what good chemistry is about. Because hopefully I could give something back for him, and we were just so different. But so is Nicole and Whip. You know, they're just, you know, it's just surprising connection. Which I loved about it. I loved that it wasn't somebody who he would normally meet in normal life, and he doesn't even know why he's really showing up at her apartment.
Yeah, it was interesting. So that's one of the questions I had. I was kind of really curious about that, how, you know, why, you know, how it happened. But it's funny because literally there's like almost an hour of the movie, which is literally just the two of you.
Yeah.
in different situations, which is really amazing.
Some people get it, some people don't get it, and that's all right. I
Yeah.
mean, the part for me that what it's about is just these people serving something, like in a time in their life. Like he helped her. Like if he doesn't provide somewhere for her to live, or someone to show her some kindness, to offer that friendship, even though he doesn't really know what he's doing, by giving her some place to live. When she's got her suitcases and her luggage and on her lap in the car, and he's sort of, she's got nothing else. Of course she's going to go with him. Where else is she going to go?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And he's this big hero. He's just saved all these people from death on this plane crash, and he's there to save her. I mean, she's laughing because it's just ridiculous.
So what's Bob like what's his directing style like? Because obviously you knew his movies, you'd seen his movies. What was it like when you actually got in a room with Denzel and had him?
He's very watchful. You know, he allows things to unravel and unfold naturally. He's very perceptive. I think he has an idea of what he wants, and so when he cast me, it was because that's what he wanted. So it wasn't like we get into the room and now we've got to find out what this is about. It was almost, do kind of that, but more.
Okay.
And so our sensibilities of where we wanted to place this character must have been similar.
Mm-hmm. With any particularly difficult scenes? I mean, there's a lot of difficult scenes just with the nature of doing drama, but I mean, with any particularly difficult scenes where just like you had to save it for later, or...
I remember being in Atlanta for 2 weeks before I started filming, and by my first day I was just like, I'm gonna, punch somebody if I don't get to do this scene, because it's like I was built up and so nervous that I just wanted to get going. So once I got going, it was more the anticipation of starting this journey. It was more nerve-wracking than actually doing it. Tonally, there are some things that I was unsure about. How can she be so lost at the beginning, and then suddenly, she goes to a couple of AA meetings and she's got a job and she's all healthy. And if this movie could span 6 months, I'd probably be able to understand that. But we have 2 hours, and so I just needed to. I was worried about how to pace that a little bit, but Bob sort of guided me. But those scenes were difficult because they are dealing with real emotion and darkness and. But that's not what I was scared of. I was scared of just not honouring it or getting it right.
Mm-hmm. Have you run into any either former junkies or anything, people like that who came up to you after screenings and had those experiences? Yeah.
I usually hear people say, "Oh, I know somebody who."
Oh, I see. They won't
Right.
They won't admit that it was themselves, but.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
It's just happened a lot. I haven't had
okay.
anyone say that happened to me.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it. Yeah.
I actually worked with a wonderful man, Mitch, who in Atlanta, who was a recovering heroin addict, who's a recovered heroin addict, who's in AA still, but many years later, very healthy. He's a wonderful artist, family man, but his life took him down that road, and he nearly died. He OD'd, and he would answer every question I had about what is that state of mind? How can you, who's such an intelligent man,
right,
so full of light and life? How I can't even imagine that you would want to, do that. And he would say the addiction was so strong that people inject heroin into all sorts of parts of their body because they can't get a vein anymore.
Oh yeah.
And that for me, I was just like, I have no idea how powerful that addiction can be, and who can fall prey to it. I'm not arrogant enough to believe that any of us can. Like, it's not something that you choose to do by that point.
Oh, yeah.
You have no choice.
Yeah.
You are addicted, and that word means you have no power, you have no control. And that's why AA talks about surrendering that,
Yeah, because really scared me when people can OD and they could almost die, and then they'll be like a month or two later they'll be back doing it. Yeah, it's not in their control. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was curious. Were there one of the things from the movie, when you leave the movie, you actually leave, and there's a big gap where we don't see you at all. Was there more stuff shot that we seen? Okay, I was really curious about that because I feel like I was really disappointed when you left the movie, and I kind of like oh, maybe there was more shot, and they decided just to need to get back to his story and.
Well, I mean, as an actor, you kind of always want to be able. I want to wrap that story up. I want to wrap my story up in a nice way and end her well. And then I thought about it again, and I was like, this is exactly how she's gone.
Yeah.
She had to leave. She had to leave for herself, and she had to leave for him, because she wasn't gonna enable. She wasn't gonna sit around and let him do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She knew his bullshit. She knew she was facing herself.
Right.
You know, the amount. You know, don't tell an addict how to lie. You know, he says that line to Don. Don't tell me how to lie. Like I've been doing it all my life. Because that's, you suddenly start living a life of just, you're just not truthful with yourself or with anybody. It just destroys everything around you. And she's just committed to a place of recovery and healing that she couldn't be around it. She couldn't.
Oh yeah.
And actually, it's the straight guys that become the enablers. Don Cheadle and Bruce Greenwood's characters, they're the ones going, just lie, just say that one more lie, just do it and you get away with it. Sell your soul to the devil. And she's the one person that says to him,
no,
you need help.
Yeah. I was about to say, this is a spoiler. If you haven't seen the movie, stop now. But the fact that I was kind of hoping at the very end that was going to be you at the end, and
really?
I was like,
Well, they kind of set it up. I think Bob sets it up, so you see those photographs of us. So
right.
I think she comes back into his life. I never thought it was a love affair.
No.
These two people are just there for, even though if the relationship does become physical, I think that's just about, a certain amount of human connection and relief and just being with somebody. But so when she comes back in his life, I think she's there to support him. I think once she sees, because I think it would have been all over the news. Can you imagine?
Of course. Oh yeah.
Suddenly this hero is now, he was responsible, or how people are going to think that he was responsible for the plane crash, even though that's a question in the film itself. Like, I think she would have gone to visit him, and she would have gone, I'm here for you, I'm your friend, and you did, I'm proud of you, even though you are in jail, you are free from the life that you were living, and I'm here for you. And I hope that that's in my dream fantasy life of what those two characters would do. But so I think Bob set it up that you would think, oh, so Nicole is still in his life, so when there's a visitor, he's even thinking it could be Nicole.
Oh, I see.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
But actually, it's somebody who he really needs to make peace with.
Oh, right. You've been keeping very busy since this movie. One thing I got to ask, because I'm very excited about Chinese Box. I actually was a big fan of
Chinese
Chinese Puzzle. I'm actually a big fan of LaBerge and Russian Dolls, and I actually spoke to Cedric maybe a year and a half ago. And I was like, oh, would you ever go back to this? And he was like, well, no, whatever. And now he's back doing it, and you get everyone back yet. How's it been doing that with all these actors who kind of have been doing all these other movies and come back together after?
Yeah, we're almost like a little repertory company. We come back every 5 years and play around together. But it's charming, You get to go revisit a character. I've never played a character, so many times in a movie, in different stages of their life, and sort of quiet observations Cedric make about relationships and what it means to kind of get a bit older and decisions you make, and to play these characters from when Wendy in L'Auberge Espagnole was we were students, and then Russian Dolls we were falling in love and getting our first work and having our own apartments, and now we're separating and have children.
Oh, okay, yeah. And you actually shot a little bit in my neighborhood. Does it actually take place in New York, or is it actually?
Yeah, in New York and Paris. So
okay.
we just wrapped in New York, and I fly out to Paris on Sunday.
Oh, great, super. Also, you worked with John Michael McDonough, and actually, it's funny. I spoke to him, and he was telling me about doing this movie, and how'd that turn out? Because you finished?
Calvary. We just finished a week ago. I had the most amazing time. Brendan Gleeson is just. He plays my dad in this movie about he's a good priest in a small town in Ireland, rural town in Sligo, up west coast of Ireland, the most beautiful place on the planet. And it's about the people in his community that don't see the life the same as him. And I'm his daughter who comes from England to see him at a bit of a troubled moment in her life, and it's just a nice father-daughter story. It's beautiful. And John Michael McDonough is hugely talented man. Had a great time. It was like coming home. back
Oh,
to
nice.
Ireland.
Oh yeah. have you seen any of it yet, or do you have?
No,
any
no, no.
idea?
We literally wrapped like 2 weeks ago.
Oh wow. Okay, that's all. You're
Yeah.
even really busy. Went right from that into.
Yeah, well, I
French
was doing the French film and Calvary at the same time. I was literally flying back
Right,
and forward
forward.
and doing publicity for this. So
Wow, that's pretty. That's
it was pretty
crazy.
intense.
Pretty crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about Sherlock Holmes? Have you going to do another movie? Do you know if Guy Ritchie's going to do another movie?
I have
or
no
anything?
idea.
Okay.
I hear rumors,
Yeah.
and then they go away.
Yeah, I was curious. I was curious. I mean, I spoke to Jude like quite a couple months ago, and it seemed like I thought maybe it might be some more developments. I feel like.
No, I think everyone wants to. It's just how you get those kind of players together.
Right, yeah.
And everyone's so committed to other things. So I think there's a script floating around. Not that I've seen it. It's just timing. I think is probably the issue. But I think if they leave it too long, it would not necessarily work. You know.
Oh, I see. Right, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Got to keep the momentum up. But I think those movies are fun, and Downey is awesome, and Jude Law is the nicest man in Hollywood.
Hopefully, they'll have you get more involved in the action this time.
I hope so.
I feel like they've been kind of like each movie has a little more time, and I feel like you know, it's gotta be-
Yeah, but I'm still this sort of. I mean, that's the role. She's the Victorian wife at home, which is fine. There's a place for that. But it would be nice to. I mean, there's this whole thing about Moriarty. He's going after the Doctor and his wife. That's what he says, and
Right.
I'm just like, my thoughts were like, whew, that would be good.
You must see those Guy Ritchie action scenes and go like, oh, I want to do one of those in my life.
Yeah, but I gotta get out of the corsets, man. You can't do too many actions in a corset. But yeah, it would be nice to let Mary loose a little bit. I think she's probably got some fire in her belly.
Mm-hmm. Great. Listen, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
It was great meeting you.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.